All right, everybody, this is Sheets, and I'm going to be going over, I guess, today's MMA slate. Heading out for the day pretty much in the morning, so I wanted to get this out to you guys. Um, while it's not particularly exciting slate, I think at least somewhat straightforward. So what I put up here, I have a blank DraftKings lineup. Also going to be referring to my projection sheets, and also, of course, my the inside the distance props from Vegas, which all go towards the building of lineups. So there aren't that many fights, if at all, that are really, really strong inside the distance props, but there are a couple which really kind of make a couple of plays stand out. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with kind of our core, and this is the way I'm going to be approaching this slate. So in the name of transparency, first thing is this first is the main event is you're just going to have to play this. They're both 8,200 or less, 8,200 and 8,000, and it is a close pick 'em fight, so it's not like anybody's getting you know any great win equity price from DraftKings. You have that 5 round fight floor, so even if one of the fighters doesn't finish it, if it goes to decision, you're going to get 5 rounds of points, and it's just not fadeable, especially on a card where there really isn't all that much. So you want to play either Chen Sung Jiang, or it's called the Korean Zombie, or Dan EJ, pretty much every lineup. So that's I consider that kind of like a part of what I consider a core. So like, just for example, we'll just put one of them in here. I guess it would be fair to say that Idge or whatever, Dan Idge is definitely a better play because he is a little bit cheaper, and as I mentioned, he is actually rates to be a favorite. But the thing is that I think that Korean Zombie has more upside with his pace and with his KO ability. So I think that evens it out. I think they're both literally exactly equal. So the other two kind of core pieces I think that are going to come from this is number one is going to be Chaos Williams. So Chaos Williams is one of the guys that has a very, very strong inside the distance prop. It's like about 130 to go, less than 1.5 rounds, and the majority of that is, I believe, from the Chaos Williams side. I mean, Semmelsberger, I guess, is a kind of a live underdog. I mean, he just knocked somebody out in 8 seconds in his last fight, but I think the majority of the juice is going to come from Cass Williams. So I think Cass Williams is another kind of good core to put in your lineups. I mean, you go through some of these other fights, you'll just see that the inside the distance props is just really, really poor. So when you have something like this, you really have to jump on it. Like, you look at, I mean, just give you an example. Lara Procopio is like, over 2.5 is -250. Glenn Silva, 250. Parisian Martinez is okay. We'll get to that in a minute. But all these fights, you'll just have to trust me on this. The inside the distance props are just really, really poor. The one which is actually interesting, which is going to make the next part of our core, is Spivak Olynyk. So this one is almost a pick 'em to finish within 1 round, right, or within 1.5 rounds, and almost all of that is from Spivak's side, him being the 2-1 favorite. And Olynyk just gets, he's gotten torched like pretty recently. So Spivak is a really important part of the core. So, like, for example, if you put in Spivak, Young, and who's it, Cass Williams, then you really have a good core of fighters. The only problem is that when you do this, now you're going to have to find some underdogs. But you know what? That's fine. We certainly are we certainly have the ability to do that. But that's what I'm doing. I'm probably just playing these three dudes in almost every lineup, and then or at least two of them, but probably all three, and then just try to just shuffle around the underdogs and see if I can't come up with something decent. For example, let's take a look at some of these semi-decent underdogs, or semi-decent plays. So Procopio O'Neill. I almost put O'Neill as kind of a live dog, but then I just kind of changed my mind. She does have that grappling approach to getting her win, so that has the extra benefit of it's possible that even if she doesn't win, she could do okay in a loss with the takedowns, but that's really not why we're playing this. As I mentioned, Glenn Silva, I don't really like too much from there. But this one, I guess, could be somewhat interesting. And again, this might not be an underdog, but you get Parisian against Martinez, and this one is close enough. This is like the next best, inside the distance prop. And the majority of that is coming from Parisian. So if you do want to play Parisian, you could do that. That does then require you to play two underdogs to finish the card, to finish your lineup, but I think that's okay. We talked about Cass Williams already. So this one's kind of interesting. The Murata Yandroba fight. You could target this one. I mean, both of these fighters have kind of clear paths to victory. Murata with their striking, and Yandroba with submission. So I think this one is kind of okay. I don't like this one, the Kamer Namagrano fight. I don't really like the Matt Brown Lima fight. This is going to be probably one of the key ones. We'll get to the other one in a minute. But Silva Turman, if you want, you could pivot and play Turman instead of one of those. It's not Turman, Silva instead of one of those core plays. But if you do want to play these three cores, you're not going to be able to get away with that. I mean, you might. As we'll get to some other cheapos in a minute. So I would consider Silva partially playable. And also Turman. I think Turman's a pretty live underdog with his submission game. So he is, again, one of those underdogs I'm going to be kind of shuffling through. Then moving up, Arosa Choi. I went back and forth on this one too. I just don't think this is going to be the one for me to kind of get a piece of. So I'm probably going to fade that. But this next one, I just keep on getting back to this Vera Grant thing. So this is what I've been hearing all week. These guys fought like 5 years ago. Grant won, but now it's 5 years later. Vieira's gotten better. Grant's gotten older, and so Vera, minus 2-1 is just, you gotta want to play him. And David Grant's coming off of that knockout win. That was kind of a fluke, they're saying. So everybody's trying to be a wise guy and just play Vera. I don't know, man. I kind of think that David Grant is live. I mean, he looked pretty freaking good in knocking out what's his name. I don't know, whoever he fought in this last fight. And, he's 35, but he looked all right. And he did beat this guy before. Maybe he's in his head a little bit. I don't know. So I do think that at very, very reduced mutual, so to speak, at 7,100, I think he's a live dude that you could just kind of shuffle through. I am not going to be, and I've heard a lot of people arguing for this, the one to play Vera at 9,100. I just don't think I'm going to get there. I mean, if you do that, then how are you going? I mean, obviously you can't play your core three. So I don't think I'm going to get to Vera. I mean, it's possible that in some lineups without all three of those core plays, then I'll maybe play Vera. But I mean, I really think I want to shuffle Grant in. I don't know what to tell you. So there is Grant, Turman, Silva as a pivot. You know what? Maybe Matt Brown is not the worst underdog in the world. And then there's the Chandarova Murata fight. Again, you don't really need all that much of any of these guys because, I mean, there's really just not going to be that many points, I think, to be won on this card. So if you can get 3 good scores, then you can just kind of just slob around with your rest of your lineups. I really don't think you're going to need, to get like 6 finishes to win the slate. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to play 50% of this Jung thing, the main event. I'll probably play Spivak and Cass Williams as much as possible. And then shuffling those underdogs, as I said. And so again, and let's recap these others, kind of like higher price pivots. Parisian, I think, is fine. And Silva, I thought was fine. And some Vera, if you could do it, right? So if you're going to play only two of those three cores, then it would be Vera would take one place, Silva might take a place, or Parisian might take a place. So I think it's a pretty easy build for me. That doesn't mean it's going to win, but that's just going to be my approach. That's it. Good luck, everybody. And just in case you want to look at your spread at the projections, this should be no surprise. Most of the people I've highlighted are in the top group. And that's it. Good luck, everybody. 4 p.m. 4 p.m. 4 p.m. post time.